This is the Louie T Network. Hey, either you're outside or you're
in the lab room.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. I wanted to do something a little special today. I was talking to one of my various viewers of the channel and a very prolific and probably the most active commenter on my channel, Mr. TNA, Mr. Total Nonstop Action. And he was talking about a couple of different topics that really piqued my interest, and I thought this would be fun. We're in the divisional round of the postseason leading up to those games, and kind of take a break from all the controversy of that Dallas Cowboys call or non-call in that case, and kind of just take a step back, kind of breathe a little bit. You know, we're getting to the stages of the NFL season where it's almost over. Don't want you to get that anxiety level up too high, thinking about no football for 6 months, but just really bask in what is the NFL playoffs and all that comes along with it. But I thought this would be fun, just a little reprieve from the playoffs, and also kind of take a step back and look at what occurred last year in the draft. And I know it's early, and I'm a big proponent of not, judging players too early after the draft. I mean, we're only a year removed from guys, playing college football. So I'm not here to, beat up on Jadeveon Clowney for not being productive in his rookie season, marred by injury, or some of these other guys that you had high expectations for, like a Justin Gilbert, who rarely played in Cleveland. And to me, if you ask me, Pierre Desir, the French assassin, played better than him when he got an opportunity. So I'm not here to beat up any of those guys, okay? It's early in the process. I'm not here to do that. But what I do want to do is have a little fun. And I want all of your opinions, and I'm looking for 3. I'm going to give you 3 of mine, and I want you to give me 3 of your own. If you're going to use some of mine, have at it, okay? You might have the same exact ones as me. Cool. We're on the same page then. But what I want to do now is I want to have draft do-overs. You get 3 draft do-overs from 2014, the 2014 NFL draft. 3 draft do-overs. And my man TNA was saying a couple of things, and I'm stealing one directly from him. He said, hey, and you know what? I'll save that one for last. Because to me, that's the biggest one. So I'll start at the bottom. And my number 3 draft do-over is from the second round, the very first pick of the second round, the 33rd selection overall. If I were the Houston Texans and I had a magic wand and I got to do it over again, I would put aside all preconceived notions. I don't care that his last name is Carr and I don't want to go down that road again. No, take the keys and drive the 4 car, select rookie quarterback out of Fresno State, and make him the franchise guy. From what we've seen of him in Oakland, that would have been the right move. And I tell you what, had he been a Houston Texan this year, could the Texans have been in the postseason? I'm not going down. That's a slippery slope. I'm not going down. I tell you what, they would have a lot better chance than what they did this season. That's all I'm saying. And the future would be a lot brighter in Houston if you knew you had a guy in the saddle as your future franchise quarterback. That's all I'm saying. I mean, we don't know what the situation in Houston is at the quarterback position. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what the next move is. We don't know what the end game is at the quarterback position. Again, you got Tom Savage. You got Ryan Mallett. Will he be back? Won't he be back? Will they re-sign him? Won't they re-sign? I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, nobody knows what they're going to do in Houston. So a lot of questions. If you would have selected Derek Carr, which is what I thought they were going to do, to be honest. And again, I know the whole Derek Carr, David Carr thing, and I've heard a lot of guys in league circles say, hey, there's no way the Texans are going near that tree again with a 14-foot pole. There's no way they're approaching that family lineage again because of what happened the first time. And I just say it's a different guy, different circumstances. It's just different. Don't allow what happened in the past to cloud your judgment for the future. Maybe they did, or maybe he just wasn't the guy that your head coach Bill O'Brien was looking for at that pick. You selected Xavier Su'a-Filo. He's probably going to turn out to be a really good player. We don't know. Too early to judge. I just said that. But again, I tell you what, I would be a lot more excited about Texans football if that pick was Derek Carr at 33. He went 3 picks later to the Oakland Raiders at 36. My number 2 draft do-over. This one to me is as easy as pie. And I don't know if you're going to make this one of your draft do-overs or not, but this one is a big one for me. And we beat this kid up during the draft process. And I said, look, just put the gloves on, man. Just put the gloves on and everything will be okay. He wanted to prove everybody wrong. Hey, I can do it without the gloves. No, you can't. That's the problem. Put the gloves on and everything else will take care of itself. Just be who you are. That's what has gotten you to this point in your career. Just be who you are. You don't need to prove anything to anyone other than the fact that I can get it done. I've got it here. I've got it here. I've got it here. Just put the gloves on. And so at pick 22, with their second pick, first round, the Cleveland Browns would select Teddy Bridgewater. That's my second draft do-over. This Johnny Manziel thing is a mess, and we knew it was going to be a mess. This kid just doesn't get it. He's not franchise quarterback material. Honestly, I was never enamored with what he brought to the table from a skill level perspective. I was never sold on him. I said, look, it's nice what he did in college. You know, his ability to run around, make things happen. You know, all of those things are dynamic. There's no disputing that. The kid can run around. He can make things happen when everything else breaks down. That's when he's at his best. But again, when you go to the next level, everybody's fast. And that 4.65 40 or whatever he came to the combine and ran, that's cute in college. In the NFL, you get gobbled up. And what is he, 5'11", 5'10"? This guy's, if he's 6 feet, wow. Yeah, I don't think he's that tall. I think he's a 5'11", 5'10" guy, whatever. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. It wasn't really about his physical attributes that worried or alarmed the GMs around the league and myself. It was the mental aspect of the game. Did he get it upstairs? Does he understand what being a franchise quarterback means and entails? It means that you've got to put away the celebrity status during the course of the season and focus on your craft. It means you can't be out partying until 3, 4 in the morning when you've got to leave for the team plane on Saturday morning, or you got to leave to have some treatment done because you got an ailing ankle. You can't do the things that you used to do in college. It isn't college anymore. You know, this isn't a hobby. This isn't, college football where you got to go to class and you can play or you can not play. This isn't scholarship. This is your life. This is your career. This is a business now. People are counting on you. Other people get fed off of what you do. You impact other lives now. This isn't college. It's the professionals. And that's the problem I had with Johnny Manziel, is that I just didn't think he would get it. And not to mention, he didn't have a playbook in college. He didn't have to process all of the things that go into being a quarterback, breaking down defenses, reading the defenses, making quick decisions, going through progressions and reads, and having to be able to know this isn't here, this is checkdowns right here, out of the backfield, hit him. I just didn't have confidence that he'd be able to make this transition seamlessly. And what did we see in year one? Again, I don't want to be judgmental. Again, that's not who I am, especially not after a year. Give me 3 years of production and the ability to watch and break down a guy, and I'll tell you exactly how I feel. But after 1 year, I just know he still hasn't gotten it from a mental standpoint. And that's what worried me in the first place. He's still out doing the same thing that we worried about him doing coming into the league, and that's not a good sign. So My second do-over with their second first-round selection at pick number 22, the Cleveland Browns. They made a trade. Remember, they traded up to 22 from Philadelphia to select Johnny Manziel. You could even argue that they could have stood pat at, what was it, 26, I believe? I think it's somewhere in there. They could have stood pat at that pick and selected Teddy Bridgewater. But either way, you go up to 22 to get him, you stay at 26. Doesn't make me any difference. With that second first-round pick, the Cleveland Browns select Teddy Bridgewater. Dare I say they're a playoff team this year with Teddy Bridgewater at the helm. I'm going to go out on a limb. It might be a damn thin limb and a very flimsy and fragile one, but I'm going to step out on that limb. I step out on that limb and say that they make the postseason if Teddy Bridgewater was their quarterback. I feel really good at saying that. With the way they played defense this year and gave themselves opportunities, created turnovers, didn't have the best run defense in the world, but they were able to generate pressure on the quarterback, generate turnovers. With the way they were in ball games this year, if they could have just got some steady play, they didn't need an earth-shattering world beater at quarterback. They just needed a guy to be steady. And they had uneven quarterback play the entire season. Had they just had a steady hand under center, they make it to the postseason, in my estimation. Take Cincinnati out, give me the Cleveland Browns. But that's my second draft do-over. My number one draft do-over. And I think all of you already know. You already know what I'm about to say. You already know what I'm about to say. And I think all of you have the same do-over as well. And this is the one that TNA brought to my attention. You know, and I had already thought about this because, again, I was never a proponent of this move in the first place. If you go back to the archives, check the draft wrap-up series, you will find that I was never in support of them doing this in the first place. They did it anyway. And not to say that it didn't work out. I mean, we all thought that the player that they got for what they did is going to end up being a great player in this league. And he showed flashes of that in his rookie season. That's not the issue at hand. The issue at hand is that you gave up way too much to do what you did when you could have got something else that could have been just as good, if not better. Of course, I'm referring to my number one draft do-over. Bills stand pat at number 9 and select. Shame on you when you step to the old dirty Beckham. Odell Beckham Jr. And I said during the draft wrap-up series in my draft breakdown that he was the most polished and ready-to-go wide receiver in the entire draft. I thought he had the best set of hands that I had seen. And there are some really good pass catchers. As you've seen, this might have been the best draft for receivers in NFL history. There are a lot of guys that catch football. None better than Odell Beckham Jr. Now, did I expect him to burst onto the NFL landscape the way that he did and make some of the most tremendous catches we've ever seen in our entire lives? No, I didn't expect him to do that. So I'd be lying to you if I said I did. Could we have foreseen that he would come in and take the NFL by storm in just 13 games of work, 12 of which were starts, 93 grabs, that kind of production, over 1,300 yards, 12 touchdowns? No, the answer again is no. We didn't see any of that stuff coming. However, the measurables, the ability to run, the ability to jump, to do all of the things that we thought were going to make Sammy Watkins the elite alpha male of this wide receiving core, he had that as well. Now, is he as good after the catch and as strong and physical in the run game as Sammy Watkins? No. And so there were some different things. There's some pros, some cons. Again, when it's all said and done, Sammy Watkins wasn't worth 2 first-round picks. And that's the way I look at it. You spent a first-round pick on him and you spent a first-round pick to get him. That's 2 first-round picks. If I can count, let me see. 1 plus 1, that's 2. No, I'm not spending 2 first-round picks on Sammy Watkins. I think he's a hell of a player. I think he's going to be a hell of a player down the road. But I didn't think then, I don't think now. And really, looking in hindsight, and hindsight is 2020. That's why we can do this and we can look back and have fun, because now we get to be able to look back and say, man, you should have did this. Yeah, duh. It's easy to say that now after we've seen some of the results. But again, I wasn't a fan of it then. I'm not a fan of it now. And even now, more so after seeing Odell Beckham Jr. blaze the National Football League in his rookie season. So those are my draft do-overs. What are yours? I can't wait to hear some of yours because I know I'm going to get a whole bunch. I'm running the entire gamut of, you know, from different teams because maybe your team did something you didn't like and there was another guy you wanted. Whatever the case may be, I want to hear them all. I want all three. I want 3 draft do-overs. Doesn't matter what round, 1st to 7th, I can care less. I want your 3 draft do-overs. Those are mine. Enjoy that. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Have fun with that. Leave your comments at the bottom. I'll be reading and responding. Have fun with this one. See you in a bit.